Adversity is definitely a university that we will all have to attend at some point in our lives. Our adversities are very different from one another, but it's something that we will all have to go through. And I want you guys to, take take this moment to essentially, right, remember that you can be, it's okay to be the hero in your story, right? It's okay to be the hero, right, in your story. Like sometimes it's, you know how some people online these days, they go, oh, he's got main character syndrome, or it's okay sometimes to be the main character. It's okay to be selfish, right? This is your journey, this is your life. And I want you guys to think through what people are saying when they say that is, sometimes people are trying to say don't be selfish, right? Like think of other people other than yourself. And that's very true in some instances. But it's also okay to be the main character in your story and not be somebody else's Robin, right? It's okay to be Batman sometimes, right? It's okay to be Batman. And I know it's funny, it's a little ironic because I'm wearing like a Sasuke shirt. But, think about it like Sasuke. He was the main character in his own story. He was like, I don't know if you guys know the Naruto, have seen Naruto or finished it. So there might be spoilers if you haven't seen it and you want to. But he was like, yo, I don't care what y'all talking about. I'm going to be the main character in my own story. I'm going to figure this shit out for myself. I'm going to do my own thing, right? Like the Leaf Village, screw y'all. I don't care what y'all talking about. So he wanted to, he was like, I'm tired of Naruto always being the main character. Like that literally, like it was his mantra, was like, I'm tired of this dude being the goddamn hero all the time. Let me go do my own thing. Let me figure out my own path, right? And he ultimately got back to, I would say, equilibrium. I would say he got back to the right side. But in the sense that it's okay to be the hero in your own story. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to live through somebody else's story all the time, right? So, what do all of these guys have in common, right? The thing they have in common is they are the main characters in their story. They are the main characters in their own story. We've got Naruto, Ichigo, Luffy, and Goku. You guys probably know all these characters. If you don't, these are probably some of the most popular manga anime characters in recent memory. There's probably a few more, like the guy from My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, Baki, Berserker. There's a bunch of animes out there, but these guys are like the big four, right? If there was a Mount Rushmore, these guys would probably be on the anime Mount Rushmore, right? So, without further ado, here are the points to consider about these guys. They are all heroes. They face adversity. They don't give up in the face of insurmountable odds. They overcome their fears to get over obstacles. Self-discipline is big with a lot of them. And they have a willingness to act on their goals and dreams. Right? So these are things that make these characters very unique, is that they have a dream and they're willing to pursue it. They're willing to give everything they have to their dream. They're willing to sacrifice their lives in some instances to make their dreams and their goals come true. Right? Last week we talked about wanting it so bad, you wanted it to as bad as breathing. Right? You want it as bad as somebody who's got asthma and wants oxygen. Right? That's how bad some of these guys want their goals and their dreams. And sometimes for them, failure isn't an option. They just have to keep going. All right? The difficult times in their life helps us appreciate when things are going smoothly. Life isn't going to be just an easy road to, success. Everything isn't going to go your way all the time. Look for the learning opportunity in every adverse situation. Try to. Sometimes bad shit happens, right? In life, bad shit just happens. And sometimes there's no meaning, right? A lot of times we look for meaning in life, and sometimes there just isn't. It's just bad shit just happens. But what you can do is realize that when those bad things happen in your life, that it's only temporary, right? It's only temporary. And the only thing that can change about that situation is your outlook on it. It can be raining right now, but think that, okay, there's going to be a sunny day though, right? The weather can change. The weather is going to change. And that's how you should look at it. So you can decide whether you will allow your experience to make you or break you. You'll decide whether that bad shit that happens, well, that defines me. This one little bad thing that happened to me, that's me. I'm this bad thing. Or will you make something out of it? Will you learn something from it? And depending upon how you choose to perceive that situation, it could go either way. Remember last week I said, the man who thinks he can succeed and the man who thinks he can succeed, they're both right. Right? If you think you can't do it, well, then you're right. You can't do it. But if you think you can, you're going to find a way. You're going to look for every reason to make what you want to happen. So be prepared to accept the worst should it occur. That's one thing that I've learned a lot from my wife, is she is a realist in the sense that she doesn't want to sugarcoat shit. She doesn't want to, she doesn't want to always look at the fluff or try to, put rose-colored glasses on it. This is the circumstance. This is the situation that you have in front of you. Face it head on. Accept it. Be like, all right, the bad shit has already happened. Right? If sometimes what we'll do is we'll go through, all right, I want to do this thing. What's the worst thing that can happen? You go through those processes. All right, if I go for this job or if I ask this person for this, the worst thing that can happen is they say no. They say no, I feel bad for about a week, and then I get over it. All right, well, that's not the worst thing. That's not the worst, that's not the worst outcome on the planet. I'll live. I'll be okay. Right? If the worst outcome is you die, well, maybe then you rethink the shit. Maybe you rethink what you finna do. Right? So when you've prepared yourself mentally, right, you can overcome a lot. When you prepare yourself for the worst, it rarely ever happens. And if it does, it seems less so because you have better equipped yourself to handle it. In the sense that you've gone through it mentally, like, all right, just play it out in your head. Okay, I fail this test. Then I have to go to summer school. Maybe I fail summer school. Then I got to retake the class. Well, now I'm prepared again, and maybe now I pass the class. Maybe I fail the class again. Maybe that class just told me I'm not good at this. I need to take something else, right? You just need to realize that life is hard, but we make it harder with our thought processes, with dwelling in that negative energy, that negative feeling all the time. We can prolong bad shit longer than, something bad happens. Do you dwell in there? Now are you moping and sad for the next month or two? Right? So cultivate faith, courage, and resilience in yourself. And I don't necessarily mean faith as in God or Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or something like that. I just mean cultivate faith in yourself. Cultivate faith in your hard work, in your strengths that, all right, I may not be the best right now, but if I keep practicing, if I keep doing what I need to, I'm going to get there. Cultivate courage in yourself. Cultivate resilience in yourself, right? Slowly but surely. All right, if I keep doing this, if I keep walking the right path, if I keep doing the right things, the right thing will happen. So the more of these qualities you possess, the less of the impact of adversity. Remember, adversity is a university we're all going to have to go to. We all going to have to attend that university. So remind yourself that adversity is a part of life, right? Some people's adversity is huge. Some people's adversity is small. Some people, we all have different adversity. We all have different perspective. We all have different issues and struggles that we have to go through. But like I said last week, remember, you're going to have to run the race. We all don't start off at the same starting point, but we all have to run that race. All right? So, famous people who have overcome. J.K. Rowling, she was born to a poor family, left a bad marriage with a young baby to live on government assistance. She wrote her first Harry Potter book in a coffee shop. She would just go there, buy some coffee, and then she would have her baby and she would be typing it up. She was turned down by most publishers until Bloomsbury Publishing picked it up. The rest is history. I'm not here for her politics or whatever. I don't know about her politics. But I'm talking about what it took for her to become where she is, to get to where she is today. Bill Gates' first business failed. Horribly, actually. The richest person in the world at one point in time couldn't make any money at first. Gates' first company, Trafo Data, a device which could read traffic tapes and process the data, failed miserably. When Gates and his partner, Paul Allen, tried to sell it, the product wouldn't even work. Rumors are it started smoking, almost caught on fire. They didn't let that stop them, though. They kept trying and trying again, and guess what? I'm using his computers right now. I'm using his software right now. So don't quit. Failure is part of it's a part of it. It makes it sweeter, right? When you get to that success. Albert Einstein didn't speak until he was about 4 years old. Einstein didn't have the best childhood. In fact, many people thought he was just they thought he was going to be dumb, right? His dad didn't really have much hope in him being like anything spectacular. He never spoke for the first 3 years of his life. And throughout elementary school, many of his teachers thought he was lazy and wouldn't make anything of himself. He always received good grades though, but his head was in the clouds. There's a reason why, like he was probably out thinking everybody like, you doofuses. But conjuring up abstract questions people couldn't even understand. But he kept thinking. And he eventually developed the theory of relativity, which many of us still can't wrap our heads around today. I mean, it's crazy that there was a lot of theories that he made that people are still proving. Scientists are still trying to wrap their heads around some of the things that he postulated for us and gave us and said, hey, listen, this is the mathematics behind it. We may not even have the practical tools, right? We may not have the scientific equipment to test a lot of the theories that he's already postulated. But as we get better in humanity, as science develops more, we are able to test some of his theories and realize, this guy was onto it back in the day. He just didn't have the equipment. We still don't have some of the equipment, right? So another one is Jim Carrey used to be homeless. And I saw this recent TikTok of him about belief in himself. He said he had this Irish school teacher, and she came to class one day and she said, if you say four Hail Marys and you pray to the if you pray to the Lord or something like that, or you believe in something and good things will happen to you. And at the time he wanted a Huffy bike. He didn't have a bike. He was really poor. And he went home that day and he prayed and he did some affirmations or something like that. And he put out some good vibes into the universe that, I'm gonna get a bike for my birthday. And I think there was like a really cool bike at the time. It's like when I was growing up, it was like Huffies. Those were like the really cool bikes. They had like the pegs and stuff. So like whatever the latest bike, he wanted it. And he like went home and he did his little affirmations or whatever. He did the little 4 Hail Marys that he needed to do to put it out into the universe that he wanted this bike. Dad really couldn't afford it. Mom really couldn't afford it. But a couple of weeks later, he got the bike. One of his friends had put his name into like a raffle at some local shopping market, and he won, and he got this bike. And ever since then, he was like, I'm going to have the feeling, I'm going to put into the universe what I want, because what he realizes, if he keeps believing, if he puts the work in, right? If he just puts out some, just, hey, I want this. I believe that I can get this. I believe that this can happen for me. The universe finds a way to align itself to put things in front of you to make it happen. You obviously have to take the steps, right? Somebody obviously had to write his name and put it into this raffle that he didn't even enter for. Like that's the crazy thing. He didn't even enter the raffle himself. Somebody else, one of his friends, entered the raffle because they knew he wanted the bike. And he won. Didn't know his friend did it, but he got the bike anyway, right? So his father was an unemployed musician, and as the family went from lower middle class to poor, they eventually had to start living in a van. Kerry didn't let that stop him from achieving his dreams of becoming a comedian. He went from having his dad drive him to comedy clubs in Toronto to starring in mega blockbusters and being known as one of the best comedic actors of an era. I still think he's one of the best comedians in general, because he's one of the few comedians who can do like physical comedy and make it really kind of funny. Like he does like the really exaggerated faces, exaggerated movement. That kind of comedy is hard to do because it can come off as really hokey and like really corny and cheesy and shit. But like Jim Carrey is the one guy that like, yo, I watch some Jim Carrey shit. I'm like, yo, this dude's, he's like, he commits. Like he COMMMM, he commits to it, right? Like he commits. And that's one of the beauties of what he did, is like he really pioneered that genre, right? Before him, it was really hard to make it in comedy, like doing stuff like that, right? And it's still hard. I don't know anybody who kind of still does that kind of comedy. Like it's hard. Maybe Ernest, like the guy who plays Ernest, like in those movies. Like there's another guy, he's like a right-wing comedian guy who does comedy. He makes a lot of like funny noises, but like it just doesn't land. But like when Jim Carrey does it, like if you've seen him in the new Sonic movie, the guy's he still got it. He's still hilarious. Very humble. Like when you listen to him talk or like listen to any of the conversations he has, super humble, super chill guy. Yeah. Sorry about that. Super humble, super chill, interesting guy. Oh, okay, Yusuke. So yeah, Steven Spielberg was rejected from USC twice. That's right, one of the most prolific filmmakers of all time. Oops, did I go back? Did I go one too far? Yeah, okay. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before creating the light bulb. Although the exact number of tries has been debated, ranging from 1,000 to 10,000 attempts, it's safe to say he tried and failed a whole lot before he successfully created his beacon of light. His response to his repeated failures: I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's a great outlook, right? Like, and I try to kind of give you guys that message of like, just don't think of it as like, yeah, failure, you're failing, but you're figuring out how not to do it, right? It's important to figure out, like I said, it's important to figure out what you like. It's also important to figure out what you would hate doing, right? And those experiences are very important as well. So let's talk about Jay-Z, who couldn't get signed to any record labels. No one can stop Jay-Z though, however. He came from a rough Brooklyn neighborhood and had big dreams to make it big as a rapper. Unfortunately, the rest of the world didn't agree with him at first. Not one record label will sign him, yet that didn't stop him from creating his own music powerhouse. And what he would do is, this is like an old school marketing tactic, would be print up your own CDs, get them in the back of your trunk. This is what they did, like, even till like the late 2000s. Like, this is what a lot of people who wanted to come up and weren't getting record labels, print up a bunch of CDs, right? You sell them at $20 or $10 a pop at the local gas station. They'll pull up to local places and they'll sling them out the back of the car. Hey, I got a new mixtape. I got a CD. Hey, you want to buy one? That's how you get put on. You can do that. His label would eventually turn into an insanely lucrative Rockefeller Records. Here's proof Jay-Z's on top. Forbes estimated his net worth at $500 million, and Time ranked him at one of their 2013 most influential people in the world. And he's also married to Beyonce. That's a weird flex, but still a flex. All right, Vincent van Gogh only sold one painting in his lifetime. That's one of those that it's like, yo, that's absolutely bananas. Think about this dude went his entire life. He only sold one painting, but we consider him one of the greatest artists of all time. Yet the poor guy only sold one painting the entire time he was alive, which, that's tough. The Red Vineyards at Arles, or the Vin Rouge, which is now in the Pushkin Museum of Fine Arts in Moscow. Even though he made no money, he still painted over 900 works of art. Although his persistence went unnoticed when he was alive, Van Gogh proves you don't need external validation to be proud of the work you create. Right? You don't need external validation. You don't need people going, "Atta boy, here's a pat on the back." Like I said before, the most valuable work that you can do is the work that you do on yourself, even though you're not going to get paid for it. The most valuable work that you can do is working on yourself. Spielberg was rejected from USC twice. That's right, one of the most prolific filmmakers of all time. The man who brought us Schindler's List, Jaws, E.T., and Jurassic Park couldn't get into film school of his choice. Think about that. Think about the fact that Spielberg couldn't get into art school. He couldn't get into film school. They said, "Nah, bro. We're good. We're Gucci." Maybe just sometimes education can be a little overrated. In the end, Spielberg would get the last laugh when USC awarded him with an honorary degree in 1994. 2 years later, he became a trustee of the university. Now that's big money right there. That's money talking. That's him saying, "Listen, I didn't even have to go to school to graduate. I graduated from the streets." He graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. And this is an interesting thing for me, because artists, I think, have to deal with this probably more than any other field. There's some fields that, if you failed out of school a bunch of times, or you didn't go to school, I'm not finna let you be my doctor. I'm not finna let you be my lawyer. I'm not finna let you operate on me. I'm not finna, some guys like, "Yeah, I didn't go to school. I was never, accepted into medical school, but I can perform open heart surgery on you." I'm like, I don't think so, buddy. I think you need some schooling for that one, right? I'm not finna let you file my taxes. You couldn't pass a math class. There are certain things, but there are other fields, like the creative field, that I think education can be a little overrated, because what education really is trying to do, they're trying to fit you into the mold of the current job market. Whatever the job market currently is what they're really trying to get you to fit into. And sometimes the people that are teaching that might be outdated, because they might not be working in the industry themselves. So their ideas, their teachings might be a little stale, right? I don't want to, cast aspersions on anybody, but it can happen to where you can be out of the industry so long that what you're teaching people and telling people might not be current, might not even be what's, I don't want to say cool, but like what is selling, what the industry is looking for, right? Nicki Minaj stated, "All of my young and teenage early years, we lived in fear that my mother would be killed by my father. He was a drug addict and alcoholic who was both physically and verbally abusive. In turn, Nicki found herself taking out her anger on other men while growing up. The abuse continued until her brother was old and big enough to stand up to her father and protect her and her mother. While the ordeal was horrific, she believes it made her the tough and fierce woman she is today." And we all know Nicki Minaj made a bunch of money, one of the best female rap artists of her era. And, the rest is history. And what you notice about all of these people is they have to deal with adversity. I want to say it's Carl Jung that made up the hero's journey, right? The hero's journey is the essentially like the path most heroes in a lot of fictional movies, right? Frodo, Spider-Man, like there's the hero's journey is pretty similar. And this is, you have a call to adventure that happens, in the beginning of the story. In Lord of the Rings, it's even in Harry Potter, there's the call to adventure is the owl. In Lord of the Rings, it's when Gandalf comes into town and he gives Frodo gets the ring, and now he has to travel to Mordor, and he has supernatural aid. Supernatural aid is Gandalf in this situation when I'm talking about Lord of the Rings, right? And then he's gonna run into some obstacles, right? There's a threshold, there's guardians along the way, right? A certain scene of "you shall not pass" comes to mind, right? He's gonna have helpers and mentors along the way. He meets the elves, he meets a bunch of people along the way. Gollum, right? Friend and foe, right? Wrapped into one. Challenges and temptations go along with, and Lord of the Rings is one of those that's like kind of hits the nail on the head on a lot of these, right? He has challenges and temptations. He has challenges he's tempted to wear the ring. The ring speaks to him, like in the sense that like he wants to wear it, but he has to kind of deny it and be stronger than the will of Sauron. And when he does, he succumbs to it once. I don't know, he kind of falls onto his finger in the most movie magic-y way possible. Kind of, boop, he disappears, and, the wraiths are alerted to it. I feel like I'm going too much into Lord of the Rings at this point, but, then you go into the abyss, death, and he's reborn, right? And then he gets a transformation, revelation as to how he can complete his task, right? And he goes on his journey. He goes to Mount Doom, and that's when the final battle kind of happens, where him and Schmeagol, Gollum, they tussle, and both Ring and Gollum fall into the pit. I feel like I probably ruined the movie if you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, but. And then he comes back home, the return home, the journey home, right? That's the hero's journey, right? I say that to say that we are all going to have to face our own golems in the world. We're all going to have to face our own issues. We're all going to have to, and sometimes we're not going to have a supernatural aid, but you'll have some mentors and people that help you along the way. That could be your family, your friends. They're going to help you along the way on your journey. So don't take them for granted, right? Be open to new ideas. Be open to learning. Be open to really, really appreciating the journey that you're taking, because if you're going to be the hero of your own journey, if you're going to be the hero in your own story, then it's important for you guys to really, really embrace the obstacles, embrace the adversity, right? You're trying to get somewhere, and it's not going to be easy. There's going to be obstacles in your way. Like I feel like social media has really conditioned us to expect things out of life that are super quick gratification. Even sometimes when I rewatch some anime, so it's like when I rewatch like Naruto, Bleach, when I rewatch some of them, I always forget. Even like One Piece, like I always forget how long their like coming up story takes. Like I always forget that like Naruto, like he doesn't like really become a badass until like season 4 or season 5, like, and he goes through like Jiraiya dies and like things happen to him that like it's tough for them for a long time. And I because I always finish it, right? I always underestimate it. I always like, oh, okay, he kind of becomes a badass and like, then he's just kicking ass and taking names and shit. And it's like, no. Like he gets his ass whooped a lot of times, like he's really weak for a long time. Like, even in like season 1 and 2, like, he's not like Naruto. He's like this annoying person that nobody wants to, and they don't show you his power. You can tell that he has some innate strength in him, right? Even when I watch Bleach again, like I'm like, Ichigo, like it takes a while for when he becomes, to even get his Bankai, right? Like if if you're in this class, you probably know what I'm talking about. Like it takes a while for him to, to get all of his real power, and even then he still gets his ass whooped a couple times, right? Like he still, like the good thing about anime is it shows you that like, yeah, you might be a badass, but there's somebody that's a little more badass than you are, like, but by the time he gets to Aizen, right? Like even that fight, like it takes a lot to get there, right? It takes a lot to get to where he can finally take on Aizen and really do those feats of amazing things that they can do, right? So it's animes are really good for giving you guys a hero's journey, and I think that's probably why a lot of people gravitate towards it, is like these young people who struggle through things, who aren't perfect, who aren't, they don't start off at 999 power like, Goku. Like Goku doesn't start off at 999. Like when, if you guys know Dragon Ball at all, then when they put on the goggles and they can see people's power levels and shit, like, and there's characters that, their shit doesn't even chart. It's just they're so powerful that the reading is like 9999, and like that's max power level and beyond, and yeah. It's very, very interesting that I never realized how long some of these character arcs take, right, to happen. So surround yourself with positive people, right? Be selective with the people you surround yourself with. That's very important. I always tell you guys, if you got 5 broke friends, you number 6, right? Like you're the 6th one. Because what's going to happen is if you hang around people who aren't trying to get anything in life, if they're not trying to do right, even if you're trying to pull and you're trying to do the opposite, it's going to be hard because you're going to fall into what the group wants to do or the group common status, right? So select who you're going to be around very carefully. Be around people who motivate you, who want to do things, right? Who want to be better, who are trying to be better, right? Indirectly, they will affect your mood and your outlook, right? If everybody wants to kick it and play video games all the time, well, guess what you're going to want to do? Kick it and play video games all the time. But if your friends are like, all right, let's go make a movie, let's go make a game, let's go do these models, let's go to the museum, let's go learn this, well, you're probably going to want to do that too. Right? So when you're in an emotional state of mind, it's important to surround yourself with people who are supportive and encouraging. Human beings conform to those around them. Conformity is the change of behavior caused by another person or group of people. When experiencing adversity, it's crucial in your development to surround yourself with people who are accepting of your flaws, mistakes, and imperfections. Overcoming adversity. Where do I find these positive people? Trust me, you'd be surprised. They're everywhere, right? They're everywhere. People are very guarded nowadays. Another thing that I've realized. And artists can be very introverted and don't like to put themselves out there, because we all of us, me included, we fear rejection. We fear not being accepted or wanted into the group, and we fear that we're going to be pushed away, and we feel sometimes like you can have what a lot of people label as imposter syndrome. Like, you see somebody's, you're like, man, there's no way this guy would even want to talk to me, or he would want to be like, oh man, associated, he's so good, like how will I ever be there, or how will I ever be that good, right? And I want you guys to know that it's okay to reach out. It's okay to reach out and be like, hey man, I love the stuff that you do. I love what you're working on. How do you do that? Or is there a way I can help? Or is there a way I can help you promote it? Or, and what people don't want to do is, or want to feel is like you're trying to use them, or you're trying to be like, hey, can I get some free stuff? Or can I get some free advice? Can I, hey, is there any way I can, so offer help, hey, I have got this many followers. Can I post your stuff here to some of my, my followers, to see if you can get some engagement, or, try to help, right? It's a give and take in life. And I promise you, there are a lot of positive people out there. I went to a show yesterday, right? Before, when I first got there, it felt like everybody was like, chill, like trying to, by the end of it, everybody's smiling, talking to each other. Because when you realize that you have the same goal, learning more, being better, trying to be better artists, right? You have this commonality. You'd be surprised. Probably half of this class watches the animes you've watched. Probably half this class has seen they grew up watching the Yu Yu Hakusho's and the Dragon Ball Z's, and you'd be amazed at the conversation you could strike up with somebody about just Pokemon and Pokemon cards, or Yu-Gi-Oh and Yu-Gi-Oh dealing, and Beyblades. And there's people who collect different things, right? Like different hobbies that you can relate to and relate on, right? What this era has kind of convinced us and told us is that we all have so many differences. And that's one of the sadnesses of that I see in society today, is that we've been so conditioned to believe and feel like we're so different. Race makes us different. Politics makes us different. The way we worship makes us different. That we all forget that we all want self-determination. We all want good family relationships. We all want good friendships. We all want to live in good places and feel safe in our communities, right? We all probably enjoy the same entertainment, right? But the world would have you believe that we're all so different, and we all should fear each other and not look at each other and not talk to each other and keep in our own little our own bubbles. And that everybody's you believe in this, or you think this, oh, you're a horrible person, and you're a racist, or you're a bad person because of this, or and that's not really true. That's not been my experience in the world, right? Of course, there are bad, nefarious actors in the world, right? Of course, those people exist. But the majority of people that I've met in my experience are good people who want the best for their family. They don't want bad things for everybody else. Like, that's not how a lot of people, it's more people I meet, it's like live and let live. Like, I'm enjoying myself, you're enjoying yourself. I like to watch anime. I like to play video games. I like to do this. I like to bike. I like to go to the skate park. I like to, ride my dirt bike. I like to go on a Sunday cruise, like I like ice cream. Like, there's so much more that connects us and makes us, similar than what makes us different. And I feel like we live in a day and age where it's easy for the algorithm to feed you things that confirm your biases and say, oh, those people are bad or those people are the other. When in reality, those people might like what you like. Those people might enjoy the things you like and believe in more things together than you believe that are different, you know? And it's important to not feel alone, right? Like, get yourself a sense of community somewhere, right? Like, because the saddest thing that I do see is for artists is that most artists suffer in silence, right? They like, oh man, I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna put this on my shoulders. Like, nobody cares. Nobody's gonna ever care that I do this or be better, or, but you'd be surprised that, like, there's probably 5 or 10 people in your class that are struggling with the same emotions, like feeling the same thing. Like, man, I can't get this part of it. I can't understand this. But if you reach out and be like, hey, anybody else having trouble with this part, or anybody else not under, you'd be surprised. Like, you might feel like it's embarrassing to feel this way, or want to speak about how you're thinking, or how, but chances are somebody's struggling with the same shit you're struggling with, right? Somebody's probably, I can attest to this. Somebody who struggled with their rent, somebody who struggled to make a car payment, somebody who struggled to, it's human nature to think you're alone. But the reality is, we all, because the human experience, right, is it's something we all have to experience. We all suffer from a lot of the same issues. We all suffer from a lot of the same things. But society will have you believe that you have to do it alone. You really don't have to, right? So, overcoming adversity can be a challenge. When you have a supportive team around helping you move forward, it's much easier to accept yourself, right? Sometimes you just need a tight group, tight-knit group of friends. You don't need 100,000 friends. You might need 5 solid homies, right? 3 solid homies who you hit up every once in a while. You grab some coffee, you're in a group chat, you talk it up, you say, hey, what's up, y'all? What y'all doing? You watching sports together? Hey, did you check out this new anime? Just those little connections that you can foster will stop you feeling from you're so alone on this planet sometimes. And one of the things that really sucks about being an artist is I know that a lot of artists feel alone. Like, I know that a lot of artists feel like they're usually on this island by themselves and they don't have people to communicate with, right? And they don't have people who are their peers, when in reality, you have more peers than you would ever probably know. And if you just stepped outside, joined a community, right? Went to an event, talked to some people, right? Said, hey, this is my portfolio. What are you working on? What are you doing? What do you, you'd be surprised at who's friendly and apt to talk to you. All right. So, right, there's something peaceful about writing down your thoughts. However short or long your journal entries are, the process of writing down your emotions allows you to reflect. There are many benefits to writing. It allows for self-expression. It helps give feedback about your life, allows you to better understand your current situation. It allows you to think outside the box, and it makes you a better philosopher. Writing in a journal once a day can help you overcome adversity. Whatever emotions, feelings, or thoughts come to mind, just jot it down. Years from now, you'll be able to reflect and see just how much you have grown and developed. And this is something that I do. I don't journal every day. I journal, once a week or once a month, or sometimes they're sporadic. Sometimes when I feel the need to, I just write some thoughts down. Sometimes I write things for my daughter to see in the future, right? Because I think that when I write more, sometimes it's a story that I have in my head that I can't get out of my head. But once I write it down, it's like, all right, my brain can think, my brain can reset. Like, I had this idea, I've written it down, and it feels more like now it's in a place where I can come back to it and I don't have to keep it in my brain. Because like if you're like me and you have an idea, or you have, you have these thoughts, sometimes you're like, oh man, if I don't express it or do something about it, I'm gonna lose it. But if you write it down, if you write down your ideas, if you write down the little story, even if it's like a sentence or two, right? A boy goes to the market and he experiences this and he gets powers from eating this devil fruit, and then after eating this fruit, he becomes super powerful and he goes on this crazy adventure. You've written it down, right? Now you can free up your brain to think of more things, or, think of a different part of the story, So I journal, and writing for me has helped me through a lot of sometimes tough situations. Sometimes it helps me, like I said, get ideas out. Sometimes it helps me express myself, right? Sometimes it's like, all right, you want to do this. What's the plan? Boom, boom, boom. I jot down, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? And it lets me visualize it in sense of like, okay, not like a to-do list or anything, but like, hey, you got to do this to make it happen. You got to do this to make it happen. You got to do this. You've done this. You haven't done this, right? You need to go back and do this. So it helps you kind of organize your thoughts, organize yourself. So don't underestimate the power of journaling and writing and putting pen to paper, or even typing, or having a note section in your phone that you just blah, 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 blah. Sometimes, I do my best thinking in the bathroom. Like, jotting this down, like boom, boom, boom. What would this happen? How would this happen? Question everything and write down a lot of your thoughts, because it helps. Because then you can look back on it like 10 years from now. Like sometimes I'll look back on some of the stuff I wrote when I was in college, and I'm like, you're such a dumbass. Like the fact that you thought this was like viable is so stupid. Or like I'll go back to a story I wrote like a long time ago. I'm like, it would be cool, but it's a really dumb story. And it helps you. Like it makes you feel like you're talking to a different version of yourself. It makes you feel like, oh, okay, this is what old me used to think. Now what does new me think? So those things are kind of helpful as well. So another thing you guys can do, and I recommend that you do, is be in nature. Nature is very therapeutic. Living in a society where we are constantly moving around, we are disconnected from the beauty of nature. Whether it be walking in the park or gardening at home, take the time to reconnect yourself with nature. It's very healing and it nurtures you. It almost rejuvenates you, right? Me and my daughter and my wife and my newborn, sometimes we'll just take a walk. Everybody get on, I'll get on my skateboard, my daughter will get on her scooter, we just walk down the street. We chat it up, we talk about things, we talk about life, and you feel, closer together. You feel like you're the universe, the sun shining down on you, giving you a little vitamin D, it helps, right? There has been research that more than 100 research studies that have shown that outdoor activities reduce the level of stress. With adversity comes stress and frustration. Taking the time to be outside in a way for you to nurture your being and allow yourself to take a deep breath and relax. The sun and the air give you a sense of calmness during the face of adversity. Take about 10 to 20 minutes outside each day and find your stress level kind of decreasing, right? So sometimes what I'll do when I wake up, I just walk outside. Like I just walk outside just to breathe in natural fresh air, not the stuffy bullshit air that's circulated around my house, filtered 3 times, and just walk outside. Embrace, sometimes it's cold as hell. You breathe in the cold air, you breathe in the rainy air, the sunny air, right? We are part of nature. We are one with nature. And I feel like sometimes artists forget that because we've moved into such a digital age, that nature is a part of who we are and what we do and what we are. So definitely step outside, enjoy that, be that. Don't take it for granted, because maybe you don't get it. You don't get to do it again. Maybe something happens and you can go back outside. All right. So while we can, enjoy the outside, enjoy nature, enjoy being present in the world, All right. Start investing in yourself. I try to give you guys a little bit of this every single week. Invest in yourself. What's your exit plan? right? Are you going to be a 9 to 5 worker for the rest of your life? Is that what you want to do? Is that, are you going to retire at the age of 65? There is no greater investment than the investment within your own personal development. Experiencing adversity is a great excuse for people not to take charge of their life. We all face adversity in some way. What makes one individual succeed and another not is how they handle their adversity. Many of us allow challenges to defeat us. What we need to focus on is developing into a stronger and wiser individual because of the challenges. There is no better way to do so than developing your internal world. Get yourself a library card and start reading self-development books. Take a look at the audio section and find yourself a few audio programs that you would like to listen to in the car. It's about starting that momentum moving forward rather than backwards. Right now I'm listening to The Alchemist by, I want to say, Paulo Coelho. I think that's his name. It's a good audiobook, right? It's, another good audiobook that I read not too long ago is The Richest Man in Babylon, right? It helps sometimes to hear advice from people from back in the day. Another book that I would recommend is The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. He had a lot of good philosophy. He's a Stoic philosopher, and he had a lot of interesting insights into life, right? A lot of interesting things. He was a man with an immense power, but also immense self-control. And that's something that we could use more of in today's society. So yeah, read more, think more, be more, right? So in conclusion, be the hero in your story. It's okay to be selfish with your time right now. Take the time you need for yourself to master your craft, whatever that may be. 9 to 5 can be for everyone else. 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. should be for you. No distractions, no phone, no social media, no TV. Cut out the distractions. Things will happen. Obstacles exist. Be resilient. Have faith and keep it pushing. Right? And what I mean by when I say 9 to 5 can be for everyone else. So like 9 to 5, so hey, your friend needs help with this. I need help moving. All right, you can do it. I need you to run to the store. Yeah, I got you. But from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m., that should be your personal development time. What books you're reading, what sculpts you're doing, with you want to learn how to program, you want to learn how to make a game, you want to learn how to sculpt better, you want to learn how to rap, sing, make music. Focus. Use that time to focus. Hey, 5 to 1, turn off the phone. Hey, I'm not on social media. I'm not doing none of that right now. Because I'm focused on me. I'm focused on growing me. Right? Michelle Obama said, "You should never view your challenges as a disadvantage. Instead, it's important for you to understand that your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of your greatest advantages." All right? So don't underestimate adversity. It's a part of life. It's a university we all have to go to. Adversity U. That's what I call it. Adversity U. We all got to go there. We all got to graduate. Right? And the more you are experienced in dealing with adversity, the better you can become as a person, as an artist, as an individual, as a member of society. And remember, you're never alone. There's somebody that's going through it, has gone through what you're trying to go through. So reach out to somebody, talk to people, and yeah, that's it for today. I thank you guys once again. I seriously appreciate you guys staying for the talks, pulling up for the class, doing your work, putting in an effort, trying. It's not easy. I know that there's a lot of distractions in the world. There's a lot of things that happen that can draw you away from it. So every time, every hour that you put in, every minute that you put in, I appreciate that you're doing that. Even though this may not be what you want to do full time or, fully for the rest of your life. The fact that you're putting in that time right now means a lot to me, that you care enough about what I'm showing you to at least attempt it. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me? Comments, concerns? If you don't, that's going to be it for the class today.